News, events, sports. Same time, same place, right in the heart of Isla Vista. UCSBTV is serving UC Santa Barbara and the surrounding community with real journalism.
Hello and welcome back to UCSBTV. I'm Alexandra Goldberg, and today, UCSBTV is bringing you stories about local news, events, and sports. But UCSBTV is officially hiring for 2023 to 2024. Check out the link in our Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn bio to apply for a reporter, videographer, or video editor position for the next academic school year. Now on to the newscast. What does a gaucho do in recovery? Stay tuned to hear from an athlete recovering from an injury and what that journey is like when playing D1 sports. And residents from CBC and the Sweeps were given a 60-day eviction notice, and we spoke with a tenant association about the housing situation. But up first, UCSB-TV is here in the heart of the community, talking with the popular Instagram photographer Ivy Streets about his mission to capture Santa Barbara life. Rebecca Fairweather has the story.
Hello, my name is Rebecca Hurtado Fairweather, and you're watching UCSB-TV. Callahan Morgan is a 21-year-old photographer dedicated to documenting and sharing the human experience and the unique qualities of UCSB. Callahan was born and raised in Santa Barbara, California, driven to pursue photography in his hometown. While you may not know Callahan Morgan, you may have heard of his Instagram account. Going by the handle Ivy Streets, Callahan has a rapidly growing audience, amassing over 5,000 followers since his presence began in winter quarter of this year. I recently followed the Instagram personality around for an exclusive look into his life, documenting his day-to-day experience. I also sat down with him for an interview to discuss why he's decided to choose UCSB and Isla Vista to capture.
Yeah, my name is Callahan Morgan, also known as Ivy Streets on Instagram. Studied several different things before getting to photography, but now basically my entire life revolves around my camera. I'm really passionate about learning more about the shared human experience, what connects people, what drives people to change, what drives people to passion, and photography for me is a way of discovering that and interacting with people. My journey with photography is actually fairly new. I started roughly 2 years ago. I think at first what drew me to photography was the ability to compose a frame and the ability to tell a story in a moment. What really solidified it was that human element, because in my photography, I think the one thing that's consistent throughout everything that I like to do is the human subject. Photography for me is capturing a moment, but also capturing an emotion. I'd say Isla Vista is incredibly diverse, well, and UCSB, right? Because they're both kind of one and the same in terms of community and stuff that goes on in and around. UCSB, I mean, if we just talk about the campus, right? It's really good for photography because you have a lot of really light floors. So it reflects light up into people's faces, you get really nice shots. I mean, the campus itself is beautiful, right? Looking beneath just the surface level appearance, there's so much stuff going on all the time. Like, there's dance competitions, there's clubs, there's people just walking around with cool outfits. There's like so much cool stuff happening all the time. I think I came into it realizing that I wanted to show that so that everyone in these different communities can feel seen and heard in an artful way. I'd say most people are very appreciative, especially because a lot of the work that I've been doing up to this point has been completely unpaid. For me, I do it out of the passion for photography and sharing it with people. I really like sharing photos. Generally, the most I get of a negative response would be people just seeing their photos on like a daily fit post and just wanting to have them removed, which I do so immediately because my intention with the account is never to make people uncomfortable or to make people feel like they're being exposed in any way. It's crazy because I'm at a point in my life right now where there's so many different directions that I could go. There's a lot of different opportunities that photography has offered me. Photojournalism, which is a very strong calling for me. Photojournalism is telling stories that need to be seen, and there is a very strong social justice aspect to that really appeals to me. I see myself probably more even deeply steeped in photography, but probably more specialized in one way or another, because right now I'm just in my explore everything phase. If anyone wants photos of like a club or an event or anything, or more recently I'm starting to offer grad photos as well. I have a new website, it's called ivystreets.com, so you can check that out. If you're also interested in light painting photography, which some people might be, I have another Instagram called Calligraph, and I do light painting, like long exposure photography.
The Self-Run Instagram page and website are ready for the public to use, and if you have any pictures that are featured on the Instagram, you can see them on his website. As we begin to focus on midterms and AS elections saturate our feed, Callahan is dedicated to capturing UCSB's vibrant personality. With UCSB TV, I'm your news reporter, Rebecca Hurtado Fairweather.
And now residents from CBC and the Sweeps were given a 60-day eviction notice, a dire situation amid the already pressing housing crisis. Here is Zuri Wilson on the scene.
Hi everyone, I'm your news anchor Zuri Wilson here at the scene of the CBC and the Sweeps apartment complexes, whose management is currently under fire after sending out 60-day eviction notices to tenants, telling them to leave due to renovations.
According to the Santa Barbara Independent, the Sweeps currently houses more than 550 residents consisting of students, lower-income families, and Spanish-speaking tenants. These lease termination notices come after Core Spaces bought out CBC and the Sweeps for $91 million on March 16th.
So it's actually more of a lack of policy that allows it to happen. The state of California, despite being very progressive, is not actually very strong on tenant rights. The state of California always backs the property owners in every dispute. It's a long-standing tradition. So like even when you can demonstrate and show the judge that it's wrong on paper in court, they'll still find in favor of the landowners because they pay taxes. There's no guarantee that a renter may or may not pay their taxes. Because the county of Santa Barbara is as lax as it is, I'd say 80% of Isla Vista's residents are students who may or may not be here. They might transfer, they might graduate. So a lot of them don't participate in the vote process unless they decide to stay for the whole 4 years. So we don't have a very strong voter base here in Isla Vista, and we don't have any legislative power. So basically we're at the mercy of very lax property laws that benefit the Montecito crowd. Builder's remedy is a crime that's been legalized basically. Isla Vista is not the answer. We have to build on the other side in Goleta. And there's a lot of areas that are nearby that we could build, but again, it goes back to these builder's remedy projects, which are basically if the builder can finance the project and they can get a plan set that's like mediocre enough to approve, they can basically break ground and start making revisions on the plans as they go. None of this is going to be inside the city of the area of Isla Vista. It's not really going to be geared towards students. Probably new housing generally is very expensive. I'm not seeing that anyone is really looking at this from the student's perspective, which means university has to step in. They have, on paper, they have a legal obligation. If they really want to make that happen, they can make it happen. Like it's not a big deal, but they're hung up on this Munger Hall, which is going to suffocate the people inside of it. There's not enough windows. There's no way to create proper ventilation without running the electricity bill through the goddamn roof. But it seems like, the housing shortage is not going away. It's only getting worse, apparently.
In response to these evictions, or renovictions as labeled by residents, tenants came together to form the Core Spaces Tenant Association with the mission of ending renovictions and keeping their homes at the Sweeps. In a letter to Core Spaces, the Tenant Association referred to these mass evictions as a, quote, humanitarian crisis, and accused Core Spaces of prioritizing profit maximization at the expense of the existing communities living in the apartment complex.
So my name is Sam Sapezi. I currently live here at CBC in the Sweeps, and I'm a UCSB student. The initial goal, because we have to start small, was to change the county law, which is what we did. So we all spoke up at the county meeting as well as other residents, and we got them to change the law. So now for a renoviction, which is an eviction via renovation to happen, they have to get permits amongst other things. We're mainly fighting so that if they want to, like, for example, we want to change the law that if they want to evict us, well, then they have to house us. Then they have to invite us back at the same rent that we initially had. They have to do maybe building by building because we're 4 buildings. Basically, they have to protect us as tenants, and that they can't just kick all 1,000+ of us out at once because they want to get past California rent caps. With Core Spaces specifically, they're out of both Chicago and Texas, so they're not on site, but they have been in the media, and they have, I don't know, they basically just said, yeah, no, we're tearing down the buildings. We don't, I know there was a recent article from the Santa Barbara Independent where they said, we don't hate poor people, but they're kicking out 1,000 very poor people. This is what I was told, the cheapest complex in all of Isla Vista. A lot of our apartments, they're not rented out, just the leases don't start in summer. A lot of them are month to month. They start in winter. There's especially in the CBC buildings, there's a whole bunch of families, people that have been here for 30+ years. As Section 8 people paying, $100, $200 a month, it's going to displace them and make them homeless. It's going to make a lot of people homeless. So the best way to support our newly founded tenants association would be to follow us on our social media, which is all of the handles are Core Spaces TA, so Core Spaces Tenant Association. That's Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and Twitter. In addition to that, we're getting a GoFundMe together. It's probably going to be set up tonight or tomorrow, and that's going to help us with things like passing out flyers or just printing the flyers, and getting tables and chairs and stuff for our meetings. And then hopefully in the future, it's going to help support a lot of the tenants here that in basically any expenses that they may have, moving costs, pretty much stuff like that. Sorry.
For more information and updates about the Core Spaces Tenant Association, you can check them out on Twitter at Core Spaces TA. With UCSB TV, I'm your news anchor, Zuri Wilson. See you next time.
Next up, we're talking to an athlete on our UCSB soccer team about the journey of recovering from a major sports injury. Sports reporter Hannah Abergel is reporting from Harder Stadium.
Hey Gauchos, Hannah Abergel here for UCSB TV. When being an athlete, it's very common to get injured. However, in the soccer community, an ACL tear is very common. Salvador Aguilar from the UCSB men's soccer team is going to come and tell us his journey to recovery after his ACL tear. Salvador Aguilar here from our UCSB men's soccer team. He is the striker and number 9 for the team. Last September against Stanford, he tore his ACL. Chava, what was that moment like for you?
Well, obviously it was a very unexpected moment. Coming into the season as strong as I did, the last thing that I expected was an ACL tear to go down, especially against Stanford, where I had an early goal in the game. I gave my team an early lead, and towards the end of the game, where I feel like they needed me as well, to go down like that was just a horrible feeling.
To start the 2022-2023 season, you got Big West Offensive Player of the Week 3 times, 6 conference goals, and 3 non-conference goals. How did this impact you from start to end?
Well, to start off, it gave me a big boost of confidence. My confidence level definitely went up a whole bunch. It allowed me to come closer with my team as well, chemistry-wise. I learned to connect with my players a lot better, and I was just finding myself in front of the goal a lot easier. Just chances came by the minute. A lot of reps and training, which allowed me to just create those opportunities in the game with ease. And that's what I feel like allowed me to get in front of goal so much in the early stage and get the amount of goals that I got to begin with last season.
The recovery for an ACL is usually about 6 to 9 months. How is this process of recovery going for you?
At first, it was very difficult. Even to move around the bed, it was very difficult to get up and shower, use the restroom, etc. So the first few months, it was difficult. But after I got a hang of it, I was able to move around a lot easier, get to gym with ease. My legs started getting stronger, so I was able to obviously start learning how to walk and then eventually run and jumping, which I am now. And yeah, the process is very, very slow at the start to begin with, but I learned to be patient, and patient is key to this process. It's just something that you have to be in order to get through it.
And how long do you think you're going to be off the field?
Well, right now I'm in month 6 since I had surgery, so the coaches and my trainers are taking this process slow with me since I still have a couple more months till the season comes. So I still give it about 2-3 more months until I'm back with the team.
And you said that you learned a lot of patience and that you've been off the field for 6 months. What does this feel like for you not having soccer for that long?
It feels like a big part of my life has been taken away from me. Waking up and, realizing that I can't go out and, touch a ball or train with my team. It's obviously a tough feeling, and it does not feel well, but it motivates me and it pushes me to work harder and to just stay consistent and disciplined with my work in order to get there, which I will.
Now, what would you say we can expect from you for your next upcoming season?
My main goal and definitely my expectation that I have for me is just to pick up where I left off from last season. I feel like I was on a roll last season, and that was just a little glimpse of what I have. I feel like I have a lot more in the tank, and I just cannot wait to come out next season and just show you guys all that next year.
All right, Gauchos, you heard it here. It's going to be a great season next season for the men's soccer player. You'll finally be able to see Chava Aguilar back and out on the field. Thank you, Chava. I hope you have a great rest of your recovery.
Thank you, appreciate it.
That's it for this week. Thank you so much for tuning in to UCSB TV. I'm Alexandra Goldberg, UCSB TV producer. We'll see you next time.